I'm going to see if I can actually show putting the piping. Come on, you don't forget this. What is this called? This is called the binding. I think I would have maybe told Elsa if I could remember that. God. So basically, I have it all clipped on, and so now I've measured and cut the binding piece made from the same X50 Tactical. I don't understand. I mean, they use different fabrics usually for binding. I don't really, for me, I don't know. Why wouldn't I use the same fabric? I think for them, maybe it's easier to sew. They also have binding machines that put specific binding onto bags. There's no rules here. Am I what I'm doing? Is it quote unquote good? I don't know. To me, it seems to be. That's and I do have evidence of it being. So it is like I am convinced, right? Now for me, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not so attached to this that I need it to be that I need it to be what? That I need it to be good or the best? No, I'm just not interested in that at all, really. I'm actually interested in how it feels to me and how it seems to work with my using it. That's really, I'm going to say I'm focused on something. That's what I'm focused on. Design, like actual colors and things like that, I really don't care that much, It's more about practicality. Now, fortunately, we don't have to, fortunately, there's black and white. There's the most basic, cheap colors just happen to also be the most affordable. So, that's good. So here I'm getting to the webbing. It's going to be tucked in between the layers. Definitely a little personal goal that I have is usually, definitely, I don't want to ever take out stitches from a bag that I'm making. Like if I'm making a bag, I don't want to stitch something and then take those stitches out as in a mistake. I feel like, man, fortunately I haven't been in that situation where I needed to do that. But so I can't really say if I would or not do it. I guess it would matter, obviously, the circumstances exactly. But I think, yeah, I mean, you say, okay, so you need to start over. Well, yeah, I don't know. I guess I would try to figure out a solution. That supposedly is why you check and recheck. I mean, that is why that sort of mentality exists, is because you don't want to be in the situation where you have to choose. Yeah, and then anyway, we don't need to keep all of that. It's binding, for crying out loud. It's bag making. Everything is philosophical to me. I love it. Anyway, what was I about? I was actually gonna say something. No, on this one I was just doing the binding. I wasn't gonna say anything. Okay. Sort of constructing, I think, is like erector sets, Legos, train sets, puzzles, all these sorts of things. Like, why do we like them? Even the really more modern ones, such as things like Wordle, It's like building something with a word. What are you building? You're filling this board in and saying you completed it by putting the correct materials where they're supposed to go. I'm not too into that exactly. My brain just doesn't work for those type of games, especially word games. I can talk word games, but playing word games where you're trying to think of 5 words that start with the letter, S. That's a pretty easy one, but it would be more like, give me a word with the letter P that is 4 letters and, connects with these other words. God, forget about it. I don't even want to strain my brain like that. Mathematics is like that for me as well. It's just beyond my ability to focus on it somehow. I guess I'm a little abstract, but I like to have things organized as well. There's this balancing. I was talking to somebody today about that, how, because they said they were going to be off WhatsApp and communicating for like 3 or 4 days, and I said, "Oh, nice. What are you doing?" And they said, recharging something, recovering. And so about balancing, and I ended up sending him a picture of this bag making and saying something like, "This is part of my balancing act." You in a way, you really do need to be multi-dimensional. Like, what is it? They say sort of well balanced, but there's so many things in life that ends up being that sort of meaning you have a lot of balancing items on both sides, and they sort of balance each other out. You don't just have one thing on each side. You have to have multiple things that sort of balance each other out that you do. For me, this is, I don't know. I mean, for me, I don't know. It is a little different, and I feel like it should be different for him in a way. But maybe it's just the wording, but I don't know. Taking a vacation from my life as it is, or recovering from what just happened. I mean, that is, can you recover from what, I mean, I don't like that either, because you think about, what do they say? It's not happening to you, it's just happening. So, it's a continuation of your life. So, recharging from it, recovering from it. Yeah, I mean, look, life can be difficult, and you need some, like, the next chapter is a recovery moment, time period, 3 days from the previous, more stressful time. Yeah, that makes sense. It is crazy how, because I think about myself, and I don't think like that, though. And maybe, I don't really know what to say about it. I think the only real time, well, I do it in different ways. That's not true. Like running, I don't run every day. I don't sew every day. I do take a sort of hiatus from it. One thing that comes to mind is relationships. that I've been in over the years, afterwards those, I would have that feeling of like, yeah, now I need to recover from that, whatever that was. It was draining my energy. Whereas I guess now, in a way now, I don't get that energy drain really too much, even when I'm doing a lot of work. Yeah, there's not really a time crunch. And maybe that is sort of it. Even with him, being on a time crunch where you're always having things that need to get done, but you're not having enough time to do them all. And then you need to take a break from that. Not to say that you're done, but you need to breathe a little bit. So in that instance, you ask yourself, well, can't you pace yourself better? Do you really have no time to do something that is recovering within that time? I guess that's where I was getting with that in a way. Because, yeah, hopefully the answer is yes. You can't just be so glued on it. I get maybe it's like a perpetual anxiety, stress. And so you literally need to remove yourself from reality and try to ground yourself again with another reality. That could be about right. That sounds like there's these two realities. One is this time crunch, stress, a lot of complexity to, feet on the ground, in the dirt, waking up, having a nice morning, slow, no rules, nobody messaging you, nobody asking you anything, nobody telling you anything. Yeah, I mean, recovery, it's definitely a thing. Could we be better at pacing ourselves and maybe more efficient, more effective, sort of, we can last longer, perhaps? Yeah, this crazy world is not too into that, What do you mean your time passing? I was talking about that on the last video, but the Indians saying that, time passing, and there's nothing on the agenda, and you really getting that. I mean, this is, for a Westerner, this is a uncommon thing to feel into, except if you're on sort of vacation. But the Indians somehow, not the ones that are taking the Western's lead and sort of becoming the new middle class Indian, the ones that are getting stuff and starting to be like, oh, look at all this stuff I can get. They are losing it, They all of a sudden find themselves working all the time. Whereas the older, more village style people, mountains and village, and the ones that are seemingly poorer, don't have that new Western mentality. They are like that. And it's changing even there, Yeah, it's going to be curious how we go. I was watching these guys the other day. They were talking about sort of the future and talking about how analog things will become so more important to experience because we're getting so much digital. And there is, in fact, just a difference in the tactile of the analog versus the digital. Sitting here and just using my hands to make something, going for a run, doing these things that actually take physical 3D space and move mass around in time is this analog. Yeah, I think it's probably at least, it's good because we have hand-eye coordination. You don't really want to lose lose that. And video games, man, I really think that video games are not the ticket. But if you're if you just want to be online and like that's it, and that you're I don't know. I mean, video games. I'm not into it. Anyway, we don't have to get into that. It's fine. My God. All right. Am I ever gonna start sewing this? Everything's ready. What am I waiting for? All right.